Hello everyone, welcome to the CTV News on Calabash TV and on the Wave Radio 94.5. I am Sen.Joseph. The leader of the opposition business in the Senate and lone member on the benches Thursday voted against a motion to increase the level of bonds government can issue as a means of raising capital. Tuesday, Parliament increased the ceiling of borrowing for the government of St. Lucia by approving an amendment to the National Savings and Development Bonds Act to increase the level of bonds government can issue. The level was raised from 1.4 billion to 1.8 billion. Prime Minister and Minister for Finance Dr. Kenny Anthony told the House this was necessary to meet the cost of land acquisitions by the government. But Senator Sen.Joseph noted that this was the second time that the government was seeking parliamentary approval to increase its borrowing power. This, he said, is an indication that the government's tax regime, particularly VAT, is not generating the sort of revenue that was projected. Senator Joseph went on to say that he would not support the bill because St. Lucians are not seeing the benefits of the borrowing.
That sometime last year they came to this Honorable Senate seeking our approval to increase the overdraft from up to 55 million. Today, we are here again asking the Senate to approve to increase bonds to $101,800,000. $1,800,000. An increase of $400,000. Am I correct? 400 million. That is clearly showing us and clearly articulating that the policies with regards to taxation is not working. That is not working. That is not generating any type of revenue that the government would require to undertake its capital and recurrent projects. You see, Mr. President, you got to be careful. You got to be careful because my experience in this Senate is borrowing, borrowing, and more borrowing. And the reality is, St. Lucians are not seeing the benefits as to the projects that government are implementing with regards to the borrowing that we have approved.
That time choking you for truth.
We are not seeing it, Mr. President. Whilst we are hearing of a holistic development and health, a holistic development and other aspects, we are not seeing it. And you know what we are concerned about, Mr. President? That we reach a stage where this country will sink because of the amount of money that we are borrowing. I would really want us to work within our limits and prioritize, Mr. President. And I'm sure you'd agree that based on what we are seeing taking place, that this government is not prioritizing, is not giving priority to issues and programs that will generate the type of resources to enable it to continue to invest in capital and recurrent expenditure. What we are seeing is that this government comes here and increase overdraft. Now we are increasing bonds, taxing St. Lucians, and we can't continue that way. Leader of government business through the president. We can't continue that way.
Senator Joseph's position was challenged by Sustainable Development Minister Senator Dr. James Fletcher.
So when Senator Joseph says that he's not seeing where that money is coming from, where that money is going, go and talk to the old people who are now benefiting from the whole home help for the elderly. Go and talk to the students in Form 4 who have received a laptop by entering Form 4 in secondary school. Go and talk to the parents who have children who have now gone to, who have passed common entrance and who are now going to secondary school, who are getting a bursary of $500 in their hands. Go and talk to the parents of disabled children who are now getting a bursary to assist those disabled children. Go and talk to the people who work in the health sector who can now tell you that they're looking forward to moving to the Owen King EU New National Hospital and the mental wellness facility. A mental wellness facility that under the previous administration was being used as a school. Instead of being used to treat people with mental illness in St. Lucia, it was being used as a school. And people were being denied the use of that facility. St. Lucians have a short memory, you know. We remember what happened. We remember what happened. Lamberts happen everywhere, Senator Joseph. These things happen. You will always have, don't make one issue look, you will always have issues like that taking place. Lambert is not a deficiency of A or B. Lambert is something that will happen. It is the nature of the world that we live in. It's like you telling me that because my identity has been stolen, then there's something wrong with the government. These things happen. It's the world that we live in. You have people, and I'm not making any judgment on Lamberts, whether Lamberts is legitimate or not legitimate. The courts will decide that. But do not take something like that and make it look as if it is a deficiency in the government.
According to Dr. Fletcher, the Labour government has not only demonstrated fiscal prudence, but has delivered on its promises to the electorate. Doing so, he pointed out, requires finances.
I dare you to take any 5 years, well, I dare you to take the entire 5 years of the stint of your government. And I distinctly remember a report card that was done on your manifesto, your 2006 manifesto. And I remember the Labour Party doing an assessment of that report card. And that report card, the assessment of that report card would not only, you wouldn't get an A, a B, a C, a D, a E, or an F. You got 1.7%. 1.7%, that's what that was your rate of implementation of the things on your manifesto after 5 years. I can take the blueprint for growth right now and show you on that blueprint for growth what we have implemented in 3 years. We are well over 70%, easily. I can speak about my ministry, the Ministry of Sustainable Development, Energy, Science and Technology, what we're doing in energy, what we're doing in water, what we're doing in infrastructure, in ICT. These things were not even contemplated in your time. Solutions do not have a short memory. So you should not believe. My mother once told me that a cat believes that because it's pretending to sleep and it keeps one eye open, it believes that it's fooling people into thinking it's sleeping. Solutions are not stupid. Solutions are not stupid, and solutions do not believe that when you stand here and you say these things, that they will take it at face value.
Meantime, Independent Senator Dr. Stephen King supported the amendment to the National Savings and Development Bonds Act with conditions.
With the proviso that we will be wise and prudent as to how we borrow, what we do with it, and what return we get on what we borrow, to make sure that we're doing things properly and we're not using politics and political expediency, and we're doing things because they help us win an election. We must do things because it develops our people. Senator Fletcher spoke about the report cards. That's very good. The report card, but the report card is not just in terms of winning an election. A report card is also accounting back to the people as to how you are your stewardship, and how you are showing the people that you are taking them along a developmental path. Elections are merely milestones along that path and should not be the objective of what we do. And many of us in the country often feel that we do things for election purposes rather than for truly developmental purposes. And I'm asking the government to make sure that when they present the budget, they can present the budget in that manner, so that we as St. Lucians can support and be assured and know exactly what our role is in the delivery of what we need to do and what we need to sacrifice to deliver that budget in the interest of all of us.
And there was resounding support for the borrowing of some $11 million to undertake the first phase of work on the Shock-Grosley Road and Secondary Roads Improvement Project. The project entails the widening of the Grosley Highway from the Shock Road, the construction of overhead bridges for pedestrians, improvements to secondary roads and junctions in a number of communities in the Grosley constituency. There was concern, though, about whether the amount before the Senate, 3.5 Kuwaiti dinars, would be sufficient. Senator Sen.Joseph posed the question.
Building a 4-lane road from Shock to Grosley, where acquisition is included, because the leader spoke about land acquisition. Building about 10 secondary roads, improving 7 road junctions, building overhead bridges. Would that be sufficient when we have realized there's one falling bridge costing $11.2 million? So are we to sit down here this morning and to accept that the amount that we are asked to approve would be sufficient to undertake all the works as been described in the scope of works. And the question is, Mr. President, why now? We heard the leader spoke about the intention to open up a road from Grizzly to Dennery. Is that a project that should be given priority when we have other things that are more pressing? For example, the health sector. More pressing. More urgent attention should be given to the health sector.
Senator Dr. James Fletcher, in response, explained that the funding for the project was being secured in tranches from different sources.
3.5 million Kuwaiti dinars, and that's not US dollars. 3.5 million Kuwaiti dinars, which is equivalent to 11 million US dollars, cannot do the work that has been proposed. 11 million US, yes. The project actually is a project that will comprise two sets of funds. We will have to come back for the other set of funds, which is coming from the OPEC Fund for International Development, which will be a further tranche of 18 million US dollars. 18, yes. So in total, it's 11 million US dollars from the Kuwaiti Fund for Arab Economic Development and 18 million US dollars from the OPEC Fund for International Development. The total cost of the project is actually 29 million US dollars. So your quantity surveying skills are actually on point today. You are right. It cannot. You're a jack of all trades. You're everything. I'll give you your kudos when I have to give it. So yes, to allay that fear. And I know sometimes particularly the independent senators and sometimes on the opposition side want to know whether we will come back to Parliament at some point. And yes, we will have to when the OFID funds, when we need to borrow for the OFID funds, which is the OPEC Fund for International Development.
The project is earmarked to begin mid-year with an estimated completion time of 2018.